From the east to the west, the north to the south, Money on the Mark. With your host, Dale Jackson.
Money on the Mark, a program where we explore the world of money here from the money capital of the world in New York City. I'm your host, Dale Jackson. Welcome to the program, and I am looking forward to this program with much enthusiasm. My wife and I, my dear wife and I, we just came back from one of the most beautiful places of paradise on the globe, and that is Central America. Specifically, we had a wonderful time in Nicaragua, watching the precious tropical hardwoods grow, looking at coconuts that we are seeing more and more on the grocery shelves, the coconut products, we're seeing them grow in plantations. And that leads us to this week's program. It is about the direct ownership of timberland and the direct ownership, the land ownership position of precious coconuts, precious timber and precious coconuts. We enjoyed this weekend time a couple of weeks ago so much. We were so impressed with the Nicaraguan people. What a beautiful people. What a soft and warm and hospitable people. And what a beautiful paradise location on this earth. And this area of Central America, particularly Nicaragua, is going through somewhat of a phoenix, somewhat of a renaissance of recovery, and they are building. And the whole globe, especially the commercial globe, and the commercial markets are looking to this area, paradise weather, paradise setting, so great for so many things. We enjoyed the people, the food, the fellowship, and we were there to look at timber plantations where institutional dollars, high net worth individuals are going in to have managed timber. What an investment that looks to be. Today, joining us, the CEO of that corporation that works with high net worth individuals, accredited investors, and institutions. Today, joining us is Alex Wilson, the CEO of Madeiras Futuro. Alex, welcome to the program here in New York.
My pleasure. Good evening, and what a wonderful time we had. It was an honor to welcome you and Janet. We enjoyed it, I think, just as much as you did.
Well, thank you for having us. Not only you, Alex, but Ken Ross, dear wife Lily, Hugo, one of the partners and one of the managers of these of the many plantations that you have, of many hundreds of employees, and we got to greet and shake hands with so many of these hard-working men and women that are working on these plantations. They love it. They're so grateful to have such a good job, a good paying job, and supporting their families. It was quite an experience. So welcome to the program in New York. I know the New Yorkers are going to love your beautiful Queen's English. So let's start talking about timber. Now, Alex, why is this great interest? And we're going to get into the area of why the $30 billion Harvard University Endowment Fund is increasing their positions in timberland ownership, as well as the nearly $24 billion Yale University Endowment Fund. Why such a strong interest in timber, Alex?
Well, Dale, it's a subject that is really not new, certainly to those institutions and to high net worth individuals. It probably isn't well known to the average individual, the average person that's building their portfolio and trying to create and preserve their wealth. It's not as easily accessible, or at least it hasn't been, up until maybe companies like ours that are reaching out and doing what we call a pure play operation, where people can actually own the deeded real estate, own the commodity, and then hire a management company such as ours to take care of it. But let's just talk for a moment about the asset class timber as an asset class and its historical performance and some of the non-correlated aspects of timber itself. If we look back here across North America, we can really only go to one index that will give us detailed data on what the returns have been like, and that's the NACREIS, the National Association of Council Real Estate Investment Fiduciaries Timberland Index. I know that's quite a mouthful, but that's who tracks the index, who creates the index and tracks the returns. They haven't been doing it that long. It wasn't until the early 1980s when this was started. It was started primarily because institutions and other companies were looking at the space, investing in the space, and so they needed some data to be able to show what this investment asset class could do. But since the mid-'80s and until now, we see that owners and investors that have a portfolio allocation of timber, not only does it reduce the overall risk of the entire portfolio, but timberland independent, standing alone on itself as an asset class, has outperformed the stock market, outperformed bonds, of course, outperformed real estate, outperformed precious metals. In fact, it's been the best producing asset class of the past 35, 40 years. And then when you look even further on people that have been owning that and tracking it and investing in it, like Jeremy Grantham, for example, who manages $100+ billion worth of high net worth investments in the GMO fund. Jeremy has stated many times that he believes it's the only low-risk, high-return asset class there is, and he calls it the best long-term investment, period.
Well, Alex, that's because it literally, I mean, literally as never been described before, it's an investment that grows. Because we saw Lily, the dear lady there that was managing the seedlings and the so forth in those nursery rooms. I mean, you start with this sapling. I don't know, picking a number, if that cost or is worth $5, but eventually that sapling, after years of literal growth, is going to be, I don't know what, a $500 tree? That's what, and so that's the strength of the investment. Am I right? The strength of the asset class.
Well, you hit it right in the bullseye. Of course, when you look at returns on investments, when you look at track records, when you look at markets, when you look at traditional investment vehicles, what you have to take into account is the volatility ratios. You have to take into account the highs and the lows because markets boom and markets crash. You have to look at economies. You have to take a look and analyze all of these extra added risks. Some of them are real, some of them maybe not. Some of them are man-made, some of them are based on economies and based on, different parts of the world. And there's all of these different things that one has to take into account when we're managing and building and trying to grow our money as individual investors. And of course, the investment world does the same. Now, to your point, a sapling, a tree that starts from a seed and then is nurtured into a sapling and then grown into a log, the volume increase from that sapling to that log some years later, 10, 12, 15, 18, 20, and some even longer, but the kinds of species that we grow in this region, because we're in a part of the world where we have intense sunshine, volcanic soils, wonderful amounts of rain, the trees that we grow, the ones that grow naturally in the area, can do so and be harvestable in much shorter times than, let's say, if the same species, a mahogany, for example, was grown in North America. But to your point, the biological growth, in other words, the growth that occurs because of Mother Nature, which, by the way, doesn't listen to the stock market, doesn't watch charts and looks at statements and graphs, isn't interested, couldn't care less. A tree growing in my forest in Nicaragua, you don't think that they care too much about politics in New York City or war situations in the eastern part of the world. They just do what Mother Nature causes them to do naturally. They grow, and 60% of the return when we harvest it is there because of the biological growth. And
that's why, Alex, it's that these institutions, Harvard, Yale, they're increasing their position in, and it's been one of the top performers in their portfolio. But just like you said, recently I looked at a chart concerning this 18,000 area Dow Jones average, and of course, we have a theme park in this area called Coney Island, and it has a famous roller coaster. And that chart, the technical formation of that chart, it reminded me of the Coney Island roller coaster particularly over the last few months. And then if Janet Yellen puts one word, patience, in or out of the conversation, it's the lead item on the news that the Dow is selling off sharply. And so I was just thinking humorously to myself, I was thinking, I wonder if Alex or Ken, if they call Hugo and say, go out there and check the trees and see if the 8-foot trees went to 7 or the 14-foot trees went to 11, because Janet Yellen just put the word patience or took it out of the dialogue. Of course not. Of course not. Those, as you say, those are just methodically, wonderfully, organically growing on God's good earth day after day with that beautiful sunshine and that tremendous area of rainfall there. So that's and what you're doing. Let's touch upon the environmental aspect. And you are taking land here that was deforested. I think that's the term, right? And was not planted, but you're replanting that. So you are giving hundreds and hundreds of jobs to hardworking Nicaraguans, and that's the most beautiful thing. After meeting that people, I said, this is wonderful, that these fathers and mothers of families are having jobs, and they're here, and so that's the benefit of what you're doing there. You're reforesting land, you're growing it back into this paradise of forest there, and there's a win-win in every direction, Alex.
Well, we may get a chance on the show here to talk about the reason that we're doing business in this particular country in Central America, but the philosophy behind the company, Dale, is a three-pronged approach. It's people, it's planet, and it's profit. And we believe all of them are each of them are equally important. And here's why. It's my belief, it's our belief corporately, that for the last several hundred years, we've used the planet to gain and to access all of the commodities that it has, to make things for ourselves, to make life easier, to make life better. And all of these things have been done in an admirable way if you're a positive-minded person. Some people see the world as the glass is half empty. I see it as it's half full. But at the same time, we've been depleting things. When you take oil out of the ground, for example, it's gone, and it takes thousands of years for it to come. And I'm a big advocate of making sure that we generate the power that we need, and oil is a great source to do so. But also, let's look at a gold mine. I mean, every time you take an ounce of gold out of the gold mine, you're decreasing the value of the gold mine. And likewise, in parts of the world, such as Central America, Africa, where maybe their democracies, their institutions were a little bit askew, the leaders would take the natural resources out of the forests and not replant. And here we are now, hundreds of years later, where people like ourselves come in, work with the local governments, get the governments to understand that forestry, of course, is a very valuable worldwide commodity, and you can turn it into a perpetual industry producing hundreds of thousands of jobs, millions of dollars of revenue for the country, ongoing, generation after generation after generation. So you're right, we take parcels of land that used to be forests 30, 40, 50, 80, 100 years ago, and we're now turning them back into registered, sustainable reforestation plantations.
And you're managing them quite well, and and you take something, you replant it, as you mentioned, in multiples, and so it's really a wonderful thing, even for the environment there. Before we take a break here, Alex, I have in front of me the annual report of the Harvard Management Company that manages the $30 billion Harvard Endowment Fund. I also have in front of me the Yale Endowment Fund's annual report, and I have an article to the alumni of Yale, and that is the Yale News. They're talking about the tremendous performance of the year just ended, their fiscal year, of a $4 billion profit, their $20 billion fund going to $24 billion. The number 2 performer in the Yale portfolio, the number 2 of 7 asset classes, was their natural resources. Here's the quote. It is quoting David Swinson, Yale's chief investment officer. Their real estate, their commercial real estate, performed at 6.6%. Their natural resources, their timberland, performed at 16.5%, second only in their portfolio to their foreign holdings, foreign stock and other holdings, which barely beat it at 17%. But 16.5% of the natural resources, the second of 7. They mentioned in their annual report of the strong performance. They say superior performance, timber since 1996. That's with Yale Endowment Fund. Over to Harvard, their annual report, they have increased their position in timberland and natural resources from 9% to 11%. And here's a quote on page 7. Our natural resources performance continues to be strong, and we have a solid pipeline of interesting transactions in both timberland and agriculture. Our 10-year annualized return on natural resources and the natural resources portfolio has been an impressive 11.6% annualized. That is from Harvard. Good stuff, Alex. And so what will be going on after we take the break, what Medeiros Futuro does is, this is not a partnership. It is not a fund. This is the direct ownership, fee simple, just as strong as is in the U.S. or any other Western democracy, the land ownership position, and then it's managed timber. So you are making access to this wonderful asset class the way the billionaires like Ted Turner and others have, and Harvard and Yale. You're bringing that down to the accredited investor and the smaller denominations. And so that's why the people that we met on the trip, on the tour, that was so exciting. They were already investors, one a doctor and one a dear couple from Tampa, Florida. So, Alex, I know you're as excited, and after the tour, I'm so excited. So I would urge our listeners to go to PreciousTimber.com, PreciousTimber.com, look at the videos. Call Alex if you are an accredited investor for a personal consultation. That is 855-888-6288. Am I right, Alex?
Absolutely. 855-888-6288. And I call timber the best investment the average investor has never considered.
That's right. That's right. And I think these tours that you do monthly, Alex, that's the eye-opener. I mean, this is a precious opportunity to take it is very easy to go to fly down by multiple airlines out of JFK, out of Newark, wherever you want to fly out of. And that's a wonderful time on the tour. Alex, let's take a break, and we'll come back, and we'll be talking more about timber, and we're going to go into the fascinating subject, because not only are you growing the precious hardwoods that Central America is so famous for, but you're entering, and in a major way, into this exciting world of coconuts that Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, big names, big institutions, big dollars are also going into coconuts because of the tremendous demand. We'll be right back right after this.
Money on the Mark with Dale Jackson will be back after these important messages.
Deep in the heart of the Nicaraguan tropics, a unique and exciting commercial project is underway, focusing on people, planet, and profit. The company behind this venture is a dedicated purveyor of fine tropical hardwoods. Since 1910, timberland values have risen faster than stocks, bonds, gold, and traditional real estate. And during uncertain times like these, investments in timber have proven to not only be the safest, but the most profitable too. During the Great Depression, when stocks plunged more than 70%, timber gained 233%. More recently, in 2008, when the S&P 500 crashed 38%, the NCR EIF Timberland Index gained 9.24%. Timberland is a hard asset that has outperformed the world's leading indices for decades, leaving demand on timber at unprecedented levels. Trees grow no matter what the stock market is doing. They grow when economies soar or when recession hits, making timber the only low-risk, high-return asset class. The problem? Most investors have been left out, while the wealthy have been stashing away the profits for generations. Now it's your turn to discover an investment in one of the most powerful wealth creators and wealth preservers of all time. Timberland ownership is an investment in real estate, plus a valuable commodity. We want you to join us to help plant 2 million new trees, which in turn will create jobs, educate children, feed families, grow new forests, save endangered species, and make a difference. All while making a safe and profitable real estate investment for you.
Direct ownership of timber acreage has been a favorite with high net worth individuals and institutional investors for decades because of the conservative nature and reliable performance year after year. That's why both the $30 billion Harvard University Endowment Fund and the $23 billion Yale University Endowment Fund own large positions in timber for their school's investment portfolio. Isn't it time that you consider the direct ownership of precious timber that will grow year after year regardless of the ups and downs of Wall Street and interest rate swings? If you are a qualified, accredited investor and would like a personal consultation with Alex Wilson, CEO of Materas Futuro, log on to PreciousTimber.com or phone 855-888-6288. Not a partnership, not a mutual fund, but direct land ownership growing highly profitable timber. Phone 855-888-6288. PreciousTimber.com. 855-888-6288. PreciousTimber.com.
And we're back on Money on the Mark. I'm your host, Dale Jackson. Today we're talking about the wonderful world of timber, timber ownership, managed timber with the big dollars. Big institutional investors like Harvard, like Yale, to name only two of many. Billionaires such as Ted Turner, John Malone, Brad Kelly, they have gone in with billions of dollars into the area of direct timber ownership. Now we will turn our attention today, our very special guest, Alex Wilson, the CEO of Materas Futuro, one of the lead companies, major companies in Central America, in particular in Nicaragua, the beautiful land of Nicaragua, just north of Costa Rica, the country directly north, and Materas Futuro is there, and they're doing wonderful things, precious hardwoods. Now we will turn our attention to coconuts. Alex, I've more and more, literally daily, I'm impressed with there are more. I come across more products every day involving coconut. We know coconut water is the latest craze. Pepsi-Cola has gone into with coconut water in a major way with takeovers. Pepsi and Coke buying out and making it one of their big product lines. And that is only one area. The creams, the shampoos, and you'll go into a number of things. But I love a quote that I just saw. That it's sort of an old proverb of folks saying, it says, "He who plants a coconut tree plants food and drink, vessels and clothing, a home for himself, and a heritage for his children." Alex, I know it's an easy question, but why did you go into coconuts?
That's it's an easy answer, but it wasn't so easy to make the decision. We're just conservative in our approach to investing by nature, my partner and I. We know the timber world. We know that it's very difficult to not succeed when you place money in timber. It has to be something really sort of, out of left field. We know the returns. We know it's a long-term investment. We understand there's a difference between just simply investing and then a major difference between wealth creation and wealth preservation. We understand that short-term thinking is the biggest enemy of long-term financial success. And so we understand these things, and timber fits perfectly for our personalities. But about 4 years ago, Dale, my daughter at the time, who was 13, she's 17 now, she started bringing into the house some products that had coconuts in them, shampoos, skincare products. One day I picked up some lip balm as we went for a walk by the beach and tasted the coconuts, and kind of reminded me of the suntan lotion that I used to be slapped on in England when we had those 3 days a year of sunshine. But that's how it started, and of course, the next thing I know, we got the coconut water. My wife's cooking in coconut oil, and instead of using regular Pam and sprays in the frying pan, cooking my English breakfast once a week, it's now coconut spray. So it kept on coming in. And about 2 years ago, I got a call from a buyer of coconuts, and he was asking about Central America and whether he'd found us online. We saw that we were in the timber business, and he was trying to find any coconut growers. He had some major shortages on purchasing coconuts for his customers. And the conversation was pretty short because I told him we don't grow them and I don't really know anyone that grows them. But I did ask him this question: if I can help you, how many coconuts do you need? And he said, well, right now I'm about 20,000 coconuts a day short of orders that I already have. And I said, 20,000 a day? So we started looking into coconuts, and it took us several years to get to where we are today, where we are not only now Central America's largest coconut grower. We started planting our coconut plantation last year. And the reason it took us so long is because Ken and I just didn't want to, get into the space but not have anybody that we knew was an absolute expert at what they were doing, someone that had experience for many, many years. Putting a tree in the ground is one thing, but making sure that it grows commercially is something else. So it took us a while to find the individual that now heads up our coconut plantation, and he's got 17 years experience in the business. So we added it. We're excited about it, and as you said, the applications are numerous.
And we visited, of course, there where you're going through the whole process. We saw the shaded areas where they're more the, lack of a better term, the baby plants or the baby size coconut trees, and then when they're ready, they're planted into the rows. Very remarkable the story of your business plan there, of how, and that's why that Tampa couple that we enjoyed meeting, they said, we really like the coconut plan because there, after 4 or 5 years, there's the maturity of the coconut tree, and then that's when it becomes a yielding income situation. Am I right, Alex?
Yeah, that's the reason, one of the reasons that we, remember I said people, planet, and profit, and a tree to me, and a tree to you, and a tree to our client, and a tree to the investor is a great place, a wonderful place, a safe place to grow our money, grow it safely and pass it on. But a tree to a Nicaraguan it's a lifeline, Dale, to a better standard of living. They have a job. So what we did here, not only did we focus in on just the coconut growing side, the actual plantation side, but Leslie is a young, very educated and very enthusiastic entrepreneur. He also already has his own brand of coconut water, his own brand of coconut oil. So we're going to expand on that. We're going to build Central America's first, or at least Nicaragua's first real coconut processing plant. We're going to create 3 or 4 or more products. And so we're going to be fully integrated from not only generating the saplings, which is a fascinating story that we don't have time to discover, all the way to planting and managing. And yes, the main difference between timber and coconuts is timber, while the returns are knock it out of the park kind of returns, and you have to wait for those, of course. You can't take a tree down when it's 4 years of age or 6 years of age. You have to wait a little while. So that's a wealth creation tree. It's a wealth preservation tree, whereas the coconut tree, this is an income-producing tree. At about year 4, they start producing nuts. By year 6, they're fully mature, fully productive. And listen to this. A coconut tree will produce nuts for 50-plus years. So income all the time, and even still pass it on to your family.
And all the while, the investor owns the land and, of course, owns the trees, the direct ownership. We met with the attorney there, the Nicaraguan attorney that handles the transactions, a closing, a fee simple deed into the name of the person to be the new owner, and then you manage it, and on the back end, on the production side, you take a portion in the production process. Am I right?
You're exactly right. In fact, as I said, our nature from an investment point of view is conservative. That's why we will not purchase land in countries where we're not allowed to own it direct. Fee simple, in your name, in an entity of your choice, even inside of a self-directed IRA. So there are parts of the world where we could do this operation, but quite frankly, too conservative by nature. I want to own the dirt. I want it in my name. I don't want to have a foreign national as a partner or set it up through a bank like other parts of the world do. This is just like buying real estate in New York, in California, and Michigan.
And that's right. The attorney, he went through the process of like title search. I asked him a question, something about title search. He said it's like you say, Alex, it's just like New York, California, or anywhere in the States. And it's very solid there. The strength of that ownership of the land, it is as strong as here in the U.S. And he said that he took it all the way, but he said the search, and this goes back to 1917 and some sort of law, that's as far as you have to go back. And then and I believe that in the past there's been title insurance and so forth. Not that you need it if the title search is clean all the way back legally there. And that's what the attorney represented, that it's very thorough and it's a real estate closing. And then there's you maintain, or the investor has the choice to hire another sort of maintenance company if they wish. They have that option. But you have with Hugo, with Lily, and that's the two names I remember, and the hundreds and hundreds. I mean, you go up to sometimes like 1,500 workers at different points of the year. Am I right, Alex?
Absolutely. The rule of law is very important, and the World Bank and the IMF have been working with the country for it's been 26 years now since Nicaragua had a chance to decide which way they wanted the country to run. I mean, most of us probably remember the 70s and the 80s, but it's different. It's a remarkable transformation. They've been a democracy, and Nicaraguans vote, and they have different branches of government, and so and that's great for us as foreign investors. I mean, over 700,000 U.S. citizens take their Social Security checks in other parts of the world, and a lot of them make their permanent home in Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Panama today. With regard to the employees, absolutely. Our employee base can go from 100, 150 to one part of the season to as many as 1,500 when we're clearing and planting, and so we're very conscious of the social aspect of what we do. We're very conscious of the environment, and we're very conscious of the profit that potentially is here. It's as I said, it's that three-pronged philosophical approach to doing business.
Well, this incredibly strong situation with coconuts, because historically, coconuts have, if my memory serves me correct, what is it, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, it's countries like that. I think they're getting somewhat dated or somewhat to maturity, and then now here's this perfect climate in Central America. That's why you're going to become the biggest producer in Central America and one of the significant producers in the world. Am I right?
Well, you know, it is all coming together, and that's what creates the opportunity. And of course, eyes that look are common, but eyes that see are rare. And you've got to be the kind of entrepreneur, the forward-thinking investor. But yeah, I mean, the demand on coconuts worldwide is now astronomical. It's not just from, like we said, the food products and the beauty products. I mean, but now into biofuels and activated carbon used. Every part of the coconut is used, and so you've got this massive 10% growing at the demand 10% a year for the past 10, 12 years. And the three countries that have been supplying the world's demand for coconuts, they're aging trees. They're in parts of the world that get typhoons and hurricanes and all kinds of mismanagement because they don't have best practices that we're used to. And so it's a great opportunity for Central America. It's a great opportunity for an independent investor to own some coconuts, to own some timber in a part of the world that's absolutely booming with a $50 billion canal that's about to start. I mean, there's all these things happening. It's not on the news. You won't hear good stuff on the news. You'll only hear the negative. That's why I invite people, come down, just like you and Janet did. Come down, touch it, feel it. Look at the what's going on. It's remarkable.
That is so interesting, Alex. Let me mention again the website, PreciousTimber.com. PreciousTimber.com. Absolutely get the education on the topic, on the subject. Look into this. If you are a qualified accredited investor, give Alex Wilson a phone call for personal consultation. The number is 855-888-6288, 855-888-6288. Go on the website, watch the videos. You'll see other things, some other tours. You do a tour monthly. They are fascinating. It is quite an experience. That is the first time, Alex, we've ever been to Central America. We lived in Rome. I reported for CBS News out of Rome. We lived in the Queensland. We lived in London for a year and a half. But there, we were first time to Central America, and we were so impressed. So, Alex, we're taking a break here, but when we come back, we will talk more about what United Airlines, I was very surprised. What a coincidence. Those listeners that have flown United Airlines, you saw what was the cover of the magazine, United Airlines magazine. It was Nicaragua, Paradise Found. Let's take a break, and we'll come back with more about timber, about coconuts, and about the beautiful area in Central America of Nicaragua. We'll be right back.
Money on the Mark with Dale Jackson will be back after these important messages.
Coconuts. The simple mention of the name conjures up the sights and sounds of tropical islands, crystal blue waters, white sand beaches, and fun in the sun. But for thousands of years, people living on those islands have used this tree of life as a source of food, clothing, shelter, and even the healing power of its oil. Today, however, science and big business have unlocked amazing secrets, and now the world, it seems, is going coconuts. We all remember our favorite food, or the smell of coconut in our childhood suntan lotion. Lately, though, this healthy fruit has made its way into thousands of everyday products and unique applications. From cooking to cosmetics, automobile parts to energy-efficient fuels and more, the global demand for coconuts is exploding. Meeting that demand has spawned an unprecedented agricultural opportunity, one that you can be a part of. Did you know that the coconut has found its way into virtually every shelf inside your local supermarket? Coconut oil, butter, flakes, flour, milk, ice cream, soap, toothpaste, shampoo, skin cream, candy, cookies, breakfast cereal, energy bars, pet food, tea, coffee, alcoholic beverages, and more. Every part of the coconut is used. Nothing is left behind. High-grade activated carbon used for filtration is made from coconut shells. Natural, cleaner-burning charcoal is made from coconut husks and has backyard grillers now increasingly cooking with coconut bricks. Energy innovation and green technology now incorporates coconut biofuels in buses, taxis, and thermal power stations. In 2008, Virgin Airlines Chairman Sir Richard Branson flew a Boeing 747 jumbo jet from London to Amsterdam on a biofuel mixture that contained 150,000 coconuts and cocoa palms. Coconut water has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry in less than a decade. Beverage giants Coca-Cola and PepsiCo have invested millions to join the space, and experts are speculating coconut water's appeal could rival both orange juice and sports drinks. And if that wasn't enough, health food companies and healthcare scientists are now studying and conducting clinical trials that could help Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and dementia patients. Demand pressures are mounting, but they are not yet matched by the supply side chain. This is where the opportunity lies. Simple supply and demand factors could easily lead to higher coconut values, and that equates to greater investment profits for coconut growers. Adding coconuts now to a balanced and diversified financial strategy equals a smart financial decision. Here's how owning coconuts could work for you. You purchase the fertile tropical farmland plus the coconut trees. Our foresters can manage the growth of your trees. Each year, your trees will produce nuts, and they can be sold to generate profits. Coconut trees can be a wonderful source of regular income, as the trees are productive for up to 50 years. Owning your own coconut-producing property is also an investment in real estate. And according to some investment experts, farmland values are expected to perform remarkably well over the next 20 years. We want you to join us and help plant 1 million new coconut trees, which in turn will create jobs, educate children, feed families, assist science, reduce emissions, and make a difference, all while making a wise and profitable real estate investment for you.
Direct ownership of timber acreage has been a favorite with high net worth individuals and institutional investors for decades because of the conservative nature and reliable performance year after year. That's why both the $30 billion Harvard University Endowment Fund and the $23 billion Yale University Endowment Fund own large positions in timber for their school's investment portfolio. Isn't it time that you consider the direct ownership of precious timber that will grow year after year regardless of the ups and downs of Wall Street and interest rate swings? If you are a qualified, accredited investor and would like a personal consultation with Alex Wilson, CEO of Monteras Futuro, log on to PreciousTimber.com or phone 855-888-6288. Not a partnership, not a mutual fund, but direct land ownership growing highly profitable timber. Phone 855-888-6288. PreciousTimber.com. 855-888-6288. PreciousTimber.com.
And we're back on Money on the Mark, a program where we explore the world of money here from the money capital of the world in New York City. Today, we've taken a fascinating trip, at least in terms of discussion, to the beautiful area in Central America, to the Renaissance that's going on in Central America and in particular Nicaragua. Today joining us, Alex Wilson, the CEO of Monteras Futuro, one of the largest plantation holders there, growing precious tropical hardwoods, famous for that area, and also growing coconuts, becoming one of the largest coconut growers in Central America, Monteras Futuro. Alex, why did you choose Nicaragua? That we saw firsthand the strength of the GDP there, the strength of the growth, the turnaround, the interest from global investors and so forth. It's remarkable. I'm sure that's what you saw, of course, right?
Actually, Nicaragua chose us. In late 1999, I was reading the Oxford Club Communique, an investment magazine. The gentleman that publishes that was talking about Nicaragua. He was talking about starting a residential community on the coastline. My primary residence is in Southern California. Price of real estate on the coast in California was then and is now astronomical. So I called my good friend Ken Ross, who I'd known for 15 years at the time. And Ken had surfed all over the world, and we got on a plane and jumped into the country of Nicaragua to take a look at what was going on. And it was, kind of like you go, wait a second, the perception and the reality is night and day. I was thinking it was going to be one thing, but it's actually this. And then we ran into a group of about 30 young Nicaraguan boys in their late teens, early 20s one evening, and instead of being sort of concerned that they were going to maybe jump us, they ended up entertaining us for 2 hours. And what we found out, first of all, they were all nice boys, but second of all, none of them had a job. Not one of them had a job. And back then in 99, 2000, they didn't really have much chance of a job. And that kind of stuck with Ken and I, and we said to one another, what kind of a difference could we make if we started a business down here to these kids' lives, and what kind of a chance would they have? So Nicaragua chose us, and it's been a remarkable journey for us. We are very privileged and honored to be doing business there. While we've taught them a lot and given them a lot, I can honestly tell you, Dale, we've been the best recipients. We've received more from them than they have from us. I
know why, Alex, because I was so impressed. Whether it was the Camino Real Hotel in Managua, whether it was the Victorino Hotel there in that beautiful paradise of the coastline there, it was the people. I was just amazed time and time again. And then when we on the little tour bus we were on, when we would get off at the different plantations, there was such a beautiful sight to look across, and there was the workers, all in the green T-shirts of the company, Maderas Futuro, and just this beautiful Nicaraguan faces greeting us, shaking our hands, and, all of us trying our little bit of Spanish, but what a wonderful people. And you could tell the renewed and restored pride. Here is a family man now with a good job, a permanent job, a daily job, supporting his family, and that's remarkable. So your philosophy, it's working its way through, right? What is your philosophy? And we saw it firsthand.
Yeah, people, planet, and profit. Take as much interest in people as you can. Take as much interest on the planet, and then focus together on the profit generation, and it'll work out. We know this. The State Department, the U.S. State Department, says Nicaragua is one of the safest places for Americans to travel to in all of the Americas. In fact, I think Nicaragua is the safest in all of the Americas, and I think it's the second. It goes between 1 and 2 with Costa Rica, and so a great place to go, misunderstood, cruise ships coming in, booming economy. Ever since 1989, when the first general election was voted upon, and Violeta Chamorro, the first president, made the ownership of their real estate available and fee simple to any international foreigner, any international business. The countries have been on a remarkable tear. I mean, it's as I said, it's not really known that much because good news doesn't get back to the news stations. But whether it be the new canal that the Americans wanted to move from Panama 100 years ago, and now a private Chinese entrepreneur is putting together a plan to build that canal. It'll create 400,000 new jobs for Nicaraguans, but just every aspect, Dale, from energy independence to manufacturing to healthcare to agriculture. Their economy is doing exceptionally well, and the people of Nicaragua, and that's what you spoke about, the people of Nicaragua, all they've ever wanted is a chance, and so that's why you have very little crime, almost no crime. All they want is a chance, all they want is a job, and they get on with their lives and enjoy their families.
Well, that's an amazing, true story. We saw it firsthand, and we would encourage all of the listeners, if you are an accredited, and of course Alex can explain some things along those lines, if you're what is termed as a qualified accredited investor, you owe it to yourself to call Alex and have just a personal consultation, ask some questions. learn about the tour, learn about what it is to own direct ownership in managed timber, managed on your behalf, just the way managed timber goes on for Harvard University or Yale or billionaires Ted Turner or John Malone. The number is 855-888-6288. It is 855-888-6288, PreciousTimber.com. Go to the website. It's fascinating and explains so many things of what's going on in Nicaragua and what is going on with Maderas Futuro. Recap again for us, Alex, the incredible situation. Of course, you have timber, you have coconuts, and you're one of the biggest plantation owners and managers there in the country, right?
Absolutely. We've got many, many thousands of acres planted, many tens of thousands of acres to plant, and a small percentage every year, 25% of what we plant, we make now available to private owners. They can own it just like we do, just like Ted Turner does, just like the billionaire institutions do. Own it as a fee simple piece of property, own it in an LLC, own it in a self-directed IRA, own it in your name. Put it, as a small percentage of the safety side of your portfolio. Watch what happens when you enter the agricultural space and how it helps reduce the overall volatility of your portfolio. But call me, get some white pages, request some information from me. Be happy to sit and chat with you, get to know you a little bit, and more importantly, have you come down and feel the experience of the area.
Because you're in two great areas of two sectors there per se. Timber, the precious hardwoods, very famous and exclusive in a sense for Central America because of the wonderful growing climate there, climate to grow. And then this what is going on with coconuts? I mean, Pepsi-Cola is now the largest owner of property of land producing coconuts. Is that right, Alex?
It is, and they've got all of their plantations, of course, in the Americas. I mean, most of them in South America. We're in Nicaragua. Nicaragua sits on the 6th largest aquifer in the entire world. Our plantations are right next door to the 19th largest freshwater lake in the world. And so we just have tremendous geographical location with some of the most fertile agricultural soils, with great people that know what they're doing, they're experienced. It's a low labor cost force, and it's just a fun place, not only to be in business, but as you and Janet discovered, it's a fun place to visit.
That's right. Alex, our little theme song there. It means we've run out of time. What a fascinating. I would encourage everyone to give Alex a call. Consider the marvelous weekend tour down there. You have them every month. Alex, thank you for joining us. We'll have you back on, okay?
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you.
Goodbye to everyone. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Direct ownership of timber acreage has been a favorite with high net worth individuals and institutional investors for decades because of the conservative nature and reliable performance year after year. That's why both the $30 billion Harvard University Endowment Fund and the $23 billion Yale University Endowment Fund own large positions in timber for their school's investment portfolio. Isn't it time that you consider the direct ownership of precious timber that will grow year after year regardless of the ups and downs of Wall Street and interest rate swings? If you are a qualified, accredited investor and would like a personal consultation with Alex Wilson, CEO of Maderas Futuro, log on to PreciousTimber.com or phone 855-888-6288. Not a partnership, not a mutual fund.